forces shaping governance, policies, and power. From the halls of government.
You were there. I was not there. Check the record. Wait now. You were there. I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They finish school. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
Security officials in Nigeria, what the Igbos would call Nkeme Lujoyi. As a matter of fact, had I check Nkeme Joyi Gahawe Mozo. Just yesterday morning, I was heading down to Ose. You know this road, Frank? Is it Old Market Road or New? No, it has to be Old Market Road, yes. Past post office. Yes, you know, there's a place that they normally collect toll. They mount toll morning and evening, as a matter of fact, just after post office. And this tricycle driver, the one I was actually in, tried to maneuver, and this police officer legit raised a gun. Like, my friend, will you stop there? What are they dragging? Stop, and you give him 100 naira shikina. So the reason he actually raised a gun at civilians, 5 in a moving tricycle, is because he wants to enforce the collection of 100 naira. And just now I got off the phone with a friend who narrated an experience on social media about how she was sent down the panic trail on Sunday night by operatives of Agunechimba, just somewhere past the MGS roundabout here. According to what she said, there was a tricycle in front of her. Now, if you drive, you know that sometimes some of these tricycles don't have what I call stamina. And so when they got to a point that was clear enough, her driver overtook. And not knowing that there was an Udogachi stop station right in front. And so they stopped them up, flagged them down. In fact, when they saw them, you know how you would stop abruptly and all that. And now they started shouting at them. And then when my friend tried to intervene, you wouldn't believe it, they started calling her a prostitute. My friend, will you come down there, prostitute? This is how people behave. And they pointed the gun at her. Like, how do you raise your gun at unarmed civilians over civil disputes like overtaking? Please make it make sense. Because just early this morning, Harrison Gwamnishu posted a video. I'll get to play the video content as the show progresses, because I really don't get what is happening when it comes to security in Nigeria. Good morning and welcome to The Polity. I am Chisom Chinedu. A lot of things have happened in the past 24 hours. Emerging revelations concerning the Ogidi Menace case. We talk about the boy that was killed in Edo Delta State by a trigger-happy police officer, Nuhu Musa. Unfortunately, Frank, I'm pretty sure you must have seen pictures of... When I saw his haircut, I was wondering, is it in the Nigerian police force that somebody will wear this kind of haircut? Something is fundamentally wrong, not just with the officer, but with the command and the person he serves under. Franklin Ebuka, good morning.
Good morning. It's quite a sad one. You know, you're trying to highlight a good number of things this very morning. You're talking about the hairdo of the policeman who killed a suspect in Delta State. If you leave that very issue of hairdo, you talk about many of them who now wear tattoos, and many of them who now dress in a manner that a police officer is not supposed to dress in that very manner. and all these things are against their standard operating system. But what do we do? What do we see? We do see them. Under normal circumstances, a policeman is not supposed to be on the road without being well kitted. It's an offense within the system. But today, what do? We see that. Today we see policemen drawing tattoo. Do you know that if you are going to go for recruitment for police, once they see tattoo on your body, you're disqualified automatically. If you don't have a flat foot, you are disqualified. Likewise, if you're going for military, if you don't have a flat foot, you're disqualified. There is a height required. But what we are seeing these days is that all these things are being flouted, and we are bringing in all manner of people into the system because we so much believe in quota system, whereby when it's time for us to recruit policemen into the system, especially for constables, we begin to talk to the big men, the politicians. Are there people who you want to bring into the system? And who do they bring? They go to the communities and look for those who have nothing doing, those who have poor education, those who have been wasting their time in the communities. Those are the people they bring to the system. And when you bring into the system people who have this checkered history, or people who have bad upbringing, people who have been associated with different kinds of crime into the system, you will try to train them. But if it is easy, you can try to train them, but at the end of the day, they will still show who they are. So when we talk about these kind of issues we keep seeing about among our security operatives, it's quite saddening because we keep on highlighting these things, and the authorities keep assuring us that they are on the case. They are going to ensure that this happens. People are brought to book. Of course, we have seen many of them who have been dismissed, who are brought to justice, and what have you not. But for the fact that it continues to happen tells you that there is a systemic issue. One of them, poor training. These police officers, how often are they trained? Because many of them don't have good education. You just go pick anybody. Then how often do you train them for them to master what they're supposed to do? Then talk about the issue of this brigandage culture in Nigeria. It has been ingrained in the system whereby anybody who carries gun or anybody who wears uniform believe that he's invincible. The person believes that he can do anything and get away with it. Why do they believe that? Because system permits that. If they talk about the lack of consequence for action, a lot of them have done grievous things and they got scot-free. They might be arrested, but because they have godfathers, they may cause they are afraid. So that's why we keep on seeing these things whereby we complain, we shout, our authorities react, but people who are in the system, they never change because the authorities still condone those actions. Every day we talk about policemen being on the road, extorting people and what have you not. But guess what? Police will tell us that they are going to deal with them, they are going to do this, dismiss. As we are talking, some others are on the road doing the same thing. The one that happened that under the flyover of Iweka, have we had it? I think the last time we spoke about it, police said they were going to make public procedures about trying to discipline them. As we speak now, we have not heard anything about that. So the system has a way of supporting bad behavior, and that's why it's going to continue for a long time until we want to cleanse ourselves of this bad behavior that has kept us back for a long time.
All right then, Dr. Tony Olisambeki is here. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Chisom Chinedu. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, India Nambara. Good morning, Indonesia, Donidu. Good morning, Indosumo. Good morning, the Oro. We are going to maybe sing for you people today. You know, today is International Workers' Day, May 1st, and anytime you remember when we are in secondary school. During this period, of course, there is something like March Past apart from Children's Day and other celebrations like that. But we're going to talk about the Workers' Day in special. The Olwaka, the artisans. You are part of the workforce. When we talk about Workers' Day, some people think it's all about those who are working in the ministries, departments, parastatus, those who are working for government in Doloibo. No, that's not the intention of the International Workers' Day. It's for everybody who does something, who is productive, adding to the gross domestic product of the country. We are workers in our own way, so we're going to talk about that maybe by the time the forum will be open for that. We remember our leaders. And it's essential. I don't know if there is a space for us to talk about that. We must commend the Anglican diocese on the Niger for the work they did over a particular reverend. I think it's trending. It's trending even now. It was trending yesterday. One Shaloko, the letters written about him, very commendable, because they say they are not going to accept it. For those who go out for false prophecy, RNG, testimonies, and so many things like that. Maybe, I don't know if there is a time for us to talk about that. But as by the way, we commend everyone. We really commend our senior citizens, our pensioners, our fathers, our spiritual leaders, and also our people of goodwill. We thank God Almighty for another day like this. Today is the 1st of May, a new month. We say happy new month to you. At least it's not easy to see to the end of April. If April will be too much, if will be Rika, and we'll say happy new month. The month of May, month of celebration, month of pronouncements, appointment, and so many things. Most times some may not even understand that if not being here, another call would have been a ministry where we speak to the faith of the people, where we live their faith.
Right down pasta.
It's not but
you said pasta, right?
Yeah, pasta.
Pasta, the one we eat, right?
Yes.
Okay, go on pasta.
You know
Yes.
what? Let's not talk about that, because it is miracle for us.
Man of God.
It is miracle for us to be here and witness another May. You know what I mean? The 5th month of the year. We thank God Almighty for that. And we are going to see to the end of the May and get into another month. That's
Amen,
the way it should be.
Pastor.
We pray God Almighty to help us. Thank God for this very day, for His kindness, for His mercy, for all He has been doing for us. The protection. It's not, there are things He gave us freely. And freely we receive. Freely some are selling and commercializing. You're welcome. Sit back and enjoy the program.
Please let me add. Tony talked about the reverend who was suspended by the Anglican Communion. Perhaps it's now a challenge to Anambra State government to prove that there's no segregation or discrimination. Why am I saying this? In fact, if you follow the story, you know that this is what people are asking, for the fact that the supervisory communion has confirmed that he was involved in fake prophecy and miracle. That is now an evidence enough for the government to come in, because it's against the provisions of the Anambra
Section 18, Homeland Security Law. Section 18.
So I don't know how Anambra government is going to handle this, whether they're going to fold their hands or move in and balance the equation. Now, it's talking about, I don't know if you saw the video of a man who carried placard that reads, "Reward or kill me." So I don't know if you saw that.
Tell me about it.
And the man had donned APC t-shirt and cap. Guess what? He said he sold his house in 2023 to work for the party.
Is he serious?
And he was abandoned. But that's the kind of thing we see in politics.
Well,
because
it's screaming pick-meism.
Politicians, that sometimes they do crazy things.
It's because he's a pick-me.
Because they do see this as investment. Once they see a candidate, they think that, oh, if I invest in quoting this very person, we have a chance. Even if we don't win, somebody can bring me close to power and what have you not. I can get contract and do this, and they do all these things. So for this very one that Ogolaya, and he went on a lone man protest asking, "Kill me or reward me." I don't know if anybody is going to listen to him at this point in time, because the question is, who did you work for? Okay, I was telling somebody yesterday that politicians during electioneering, they do things for people they believe in, and they keep receipts. By the time you win, they come to your office with receipts to show you what they have done for you. That's what they do, because for them it's an investment. Now, away from this, please let me talk about this a bit before we get into the headlines. I watched the video of Edo State governor yesterday. He had TV outing, and where he was asked questions regarding his promise to deliver 2.5 million votes for President Bola Tinubu in 2027. Whether he still stands by that very promise, and he said that he's going to do that. In fact, he was even telling the anchor, didn't he see the kind of reception they had when they were in the street, that was an evidence of what can happen. And in fact, he even said that P2B cannot win Anambra in 2027, and he can't win in Edo State in 2027. that he won because Obaseki was not doing anything. Now, that made me to even go to the records to look at the books to know whether the man was speaking to fact or not. And I checked. Somebody who is promising to deliver 2.5 million votes to President Bola Tinubu in 2027 in Edo State. According to INEC record, Edo State has about 2.6 million registered voters. And there has never been any election in Nigeria where all the registered voters are turned out. In fact, I checked the records for 1999 till date. The highest turnout Edo State has recorded in election was about 79%. That was in 2003, where it had about 1.1 million votes cast. And in recent past, we have been seeing reduction. The last one was 22%. That was about 500,000 votes. And somebody is promising Mr. President 2.5 million votes out of 2.6 million registered voters. Where is he going to get the numbers, or is there any plan he has hatched on how to get the figures for Mr. President? So I don't know if he can do any magic, or whether time is going to tell us what he's planning there.
All right, then we keep our fingers crossed. I think I might as well just go straight to also playing the video shared by Harrison, the concerns and questions raised, and then we go over to the headlines and some of the things we can find on the headlines. And so, speaking about that, now this is what he has to say. Okay.
I said I'm going to drop this update right now. Listen, evening. My name is Harrison Guamnishu. I said I'm going to drop this update tomorrow morning, but because the night is too long, nobody knows.
I think I just I might as well need to close this particular one and stream it directly, because I just realized that the downloaded version it doesn't have an audio. So I'll play directly from his page. And if you, oh no, this is another video that has, I don't know, Frank, did you see that video of some young boys dancing to, what do I call it now? It's a kind of cult gyration or something like that.
Yes, it's no longer surprising because it's no longer news about how young people get involved in cultism at a very tender age. There was one experience I had the very first year I moved into Oka on my street, and we saw young people of about 16 years. They came to the street and robbed everybody on that very street with a gun. Less than 16, 3 of them. Now, so it tells you how the system has deteriorated, whereby even at secondary school level, they now have cult groups, and it's quite a sad one. And each time people blame parents, I don't always blame parents, because we are in a world where young people are exposed to so many things. As a parent, you try your best, do all you can do, but once they get out, there are so many things competing for their attention. So it takes somebody who has that very mental strength to be able to resist those influences and pressure, and be able to stay online based on what the person had learned from the parents. So that video was a worrisome one, because seeing young people getting excited about being members of cult group and doing some kind of nonsensical displays, it has to worry anybody who cares about the future of the young generation.
Honestly, when I saw it, I was very worried. But this is the video I was talking about, and this time around, yes, I have the audio covered.
Tomorrow morning, but because the night is too long, nobody knows what may happen. So I'm dropping it now for everybody to, to take note of this. All right. Now, I'm getting threats that you have a case in Benin. Police charge you for a case in Benin, and blah 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 blah. Using to threaten themselves. Or more. Now for your pocket with that too. All right. Now, listen. Usman Nuhu left with Siana with 2 people to the park to pick up Okenemine, that the Aguru or the 2 people are arrested. All right. Now, those 2 people with Usman in this video, they are not police officers. They are not police officers. These 2 people, they are civilians like me and you. They are civilians and not police officers. So, the area commander, Shaba, and a team, they always give police polo to civilians. So the area commander, Shaba, and a team, they always give police polo to civilians. If you watch in front of this guy, Efe now the guy with the help Usman, they arrange in magazine. Not be police officer for anywhere for Nigeria. Efe and Godwin, now two of them follow Usman, come the back. So they are together in this. They are not police officers. So now, which other teammate they say they arrest with Usman? Because those teammates not follow Usman commit this offense, so they not follow them commit this offense. Those teammates were not on duty. It was on Sunday. Now Usman and these two civilians, Efe and Godwin, now they go carry for park. When Usman won't shoot, this magazine get issue. Now the civilian, Efe, now he help Usman, they arrange the magazine. They are not police officers. So when they arrest Usman, they only invited Usman teammates, because for the team, for the area command, Usman, now be the team leader, is an ASP, now the team leader. He gets some inspectors where they follow up, they work for back. Now, those people where they follow Usman, they work, they were invited. So when time come, they will exonerate them because they were not on duty. They did not attend, they did not buy together. Reason why their names were not mentioned. See, say our IG carefully not mention their name, but he say other officers will be dismissed. They not get case. The Efe and Godwin, where then they? Where are they? They are to get three of them and then commit this crime. Where is Efe and Godwin? Worry people, now people for that side. Make una fish them out.
So I'm going to cut this video at this point, Tony, because he drew the attention of Nigerians to something that we have quite witnessed, but maybe have not really spoken about so much. When you get to some military checkpoints, you'd find out that there are certain civilians who hang around there working for them. They stand there to sometimes collect toll, flag vehicles, and there are military officials sitting close by. And the allegation of non-police officers getting vests with the inscription "police" on it is true. We have seen them on the road, and you'd hear nearby people even saying, "Oh, this person is not a police officer." And again, I'm curious to find out, where does it happen? Where do you have to go on an arrest for somebody that was caught with arms? From what I understand, that Beretta is an English pistol that costs presently, some persons say in the black market, between 3 to 4 million. Some persons say less than $1 million. Some persons say a little over $1 million. I cannot exactly put my hands on the figure. But to arrest a person who was caught with a weapon, you go with 2 civilians and a police officer. Please help me make it make sense in the manner at which they went and all of that. Make it make sense to me.
Well, I think if we begin to talk about the rot in the Nigerian police force, it will be a full day topic where we would try to maybe put them in clusters, put them in a way that we would look at them from one after the other. The truth is, government is not sincere about the reforms he has been talking about in the police system. And the people themselves, let me say this, take the police force here we have in Nigeria to UK. If you just take all of them and then possibly repose them to UK, the bad ones will just leave the institution themselves. They will just leave the institutions themselves. We know very well the institutions are weak. Oversight is weak. Monitoring is weak, and we understand those things. But the people themselves, we allow these things to continue to fester. I was talking about the Bristol riot in 1981 that led to the Pace Act in 1984. And before you know it, the issue of go wisely principle we talked the other day. Before you would search somebody, stop and search was really modified of the VEX special forces. You know, when you wear them things, remember vigilante also wear such, you know, vest. They should tell us, because if you try to probe further, they will tell you these people are vigilantes, that they are working together. The last time I did probe, the response I got was that these people were vigilantes working with them, not that they were members of police force, that they are not ordinary civilians, as the case may be, that they are vigilantes, that they work with vigilantes. That's the response I got. When we got that response, we know very well that even under Operation Udogachi, you have such situation where they all work together. Outside that, remember the incident that happened at our Koso SARS, where a youth corps member, that youth corps member we are not told was a vigilante. He had come there for service, but he was part of the operations. He was part of the operations. It tells you the rot in the system. I listened to Harrison, but one thing Harrison failed to point out was when he was saying that the team members were not part of those who committed offense. The truth is that he did not also tell us how the young man was shot at the police station, because we were told that he was killed at the police station. Now, can Harrison tell us who were those with him when that happened? You see where the team members may be liable. He was talking about what happened at the park, and possibly he also let us know that the young man was taken to the police station. He was shot at the arm at the park, but when they got to the police station, the man was killed. Nobody told us where he was shot, but because I know autopsy will reveal some of those things. And who were with him, apart from those two civilians he mentioned, they called one Godwin and one Efe. That's the two names he called. That they followed him, they followed Nuhu Usman to the station. Now the question is, when they go to the station, whether he is aware that other meeting members may have joined at the station for that execution. So to that extent, if they had joined, they are all culpable. I don't know why he's trying to exonerate other team members that they were not part of the offense, but he thinks he could not relate what happened at the police station. He should leave it at that, because the team members, these are people we know, apart from the fact that we are not at the park. Having said that, I want also...
But you know, videos that the public saw were not from the police station. Everything the public has is about that
the park.
incident.
But we are talking about the police station, because the information also we got was that he was killed at the police station. Not
and also there are reports that the pictures posted by the police are AI generated.
Of course, we've seen pictures, we've seen videos, and most of us, we can always distinguish AI pictures and AI videos from non-AI videos. Of course, we know how we do that. The point I'm trying to make is there is a rot. And we, just like yesterday, we commended the police for speedy and the accelerated dispensation of the early room trial and dismissal. We also commended
dismissal is not justice.
No. They will face murder.
Yes.
They will face murder prosecution.
Murder prosecution.
But they have to be dismissed first from the
force.
force. Then they will face murder. Just like many Nigerians are curious, because this is a Nigerian situation. Once there is this public drama, nobody hears about the case.
Exactly.
And that's why many people are saying they would want the trial to be public. Each time they will be in court, can somebody make it public? There is a very trial that is public. The woman that was, or the lady that was accused of killing Ataga,
Chidinma.
of course, yeah, her trial is public. Each time she goes to court, everybody knows about it. The development at the court. And we also would want to tell our journalists, I don't know why they place so much emphasis on that very Chidinma Ataga case. Such emphasis should be placed on a case like this. But if there is no arraignment, journalists should tell us. They should report that there is no an arraignment, and they would be curious to find out from the police authorities. If we give it the coverage we gave that Chidinma Ataga scenario, Nigerians will be carried along. The truth is, you talked about 20 naira, 10 naira police officer trying to push a gun to civilians over enforcement of collection. Now, let me ask our people, do we want this to continue? No, if the people resist this, it will, in fact, stop to exist. It's a collective will of the people. And there are several ways of going about this. There are diplomatic ways, but it will end up at the most of these places these people stay.
Do you also think that the ranks and files of the Nigerian police force are complicit? Let me land. This incident with Ogenemene happened on the 26th of April, and it took the release of the video on the 28th of April. It took public outrage for the Nigerian police force to say something about it.
Well, it was hidden before, just like Harrison Gomlishu said that it happened on Sunday. It was Delta or Warri Voice. He displayed the WhatsApp through which that was sent to him. It was through that forum that the video got to him. It happened on Sunday. We got to know about the incident on Wednesday, right? Tuesday. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday.
So what it means that about 2 days, and then within these 2 days period, everybody went to him. That was why Harrison is trying to indict the area commander. Somebody was shot at a station. 2 days you didn't make a report. 2 days nobody told you what happened, and you didn't find out. How can you be an area commander and there was execution in your station? As an area commander, you are not aware. You did not even raise concern about this. You did not write to any police authorities. That is where Harrison is coming from, that it is a grand conspiracy, and he made it possible that Usman couldn't have done that at the station if not given such an order by anybody superior to him. If he wasn't given such order by any superior officer, now we are not pointing who that superior officer could be. He could not brazenly at the police station execute a suspect. It's never done.
Just to add, because you asked the question whether police is complicit when it comes to hiding misdemeanors by police officers. If I say that has been a culture, I'm not far from the truth. Every police station will prefer to hide or kill any bad press for them. That has been their culture. It takes only when there is an agitation, activism, or somebody is pushing for that. I know one experience I had when a former co-worker was extorted. These anti-court people came to their house around 1 a.m., scaled the fence, came to the compound, and arrested her son and branded him a cultist. We didn't know. We just came to work. We didn't see her. So when one began to ask about her, for 2 days we didn't see her. So when she now came back, he came to the office to report about what happened. So she told the story and told us how she was extorted, because after profiling, his son was found not to be among cultists, so he was asked to go. But guess what? When they were leaving, some policemen cornered them and took some money from her, and even gave her his number for them to continue to talk because he wanted to extort more. And guess what? After telling the story, my GM then asked me to investigate it. I took the number from her, called the policeman. The policeman denied ever having any contact with the woman. I told her I was going to come to the station. He said, if you like, come and investigate. Guess what? I and my GM then went to the police station. That was the first time I went to anti-court office in Ugochukwu. We went there because we just came to see the man who was in charge, the OC who was in charge then. And luckily we met him. I've forgotten his name. Very fine officer. He said he didn't know that he was the one who profiled them by himself and gave an order that the guy should be released. We then told the man our story. And guess what? He now took up the matter and confirmed that the policeman extorted the woman after he had given an order that the guy should be allowed to go. So what am I trying to portray? There's this culture of covering up for our colleagues. Camaraderie. It's a comrade. If he comes out, it becomes a bad press for us and what have you. So that has been the culture. In this case, in Delta State, from what Harrison has reviewed again, whether it's true or not, it's not left for the police to tell us whether it's true or not. And how are they going to do this? They should list the names of other officers who were involved. Now, if you watch the press conference of IGP, he said ASP Osman has been dismissed alongside 4 others. Their names were not mentioned. So at
And that's if those people were not found guilty, that's already a lie from his end.
So at this point in time, now that we have this allegation, it's not left for the police to give us the names, the tracking number of these very officers. That's the only way they can disprove this. If not, what Harrison reviewed becomes the truth.
Yeah, because there is grand conspiracy for cover. We would want every detail about these officers to be in the public, like others who were dismissed with Tinubu would want their names
and
displayed.
allegations against them.
And then possibly we're gonna follow the trial, and we will encourage our fellow men and women in this profession to see to the coverage of this very crime, the arraignment, the trial, the prosecution. And I keep saying this, in the bank, Ugobona Equeta, Naga was saying at 10 naira and 20 naira within our corridors or on our roads. Aequa corridor is doable, it's possible. It's not by any form of violence.
Let's tell you what the front pages say before we head on for a break and then continue with the conversation. We have the Nigerian Tribune, Vanguard, Daily Sun, and the Guardian. The Nigerian Tribune has the banner headline: Supreme Court nullifies PDP about a convention, void status quo antebellum, order on ADC. And the writers here returns leadership dispute for trial at High Court. Wabara-led BOT says it has assumed leadership of PDP. Supreme Court confirms PDP's unity ends factional crisis. That's from Wiki on pages 17 and 19. OPE expands access to 1.2 billion naira 10-year scholarship program. Signs MOU with more schools on page 15. And rethink labor welfare strategy. CPPE urges government on page 16. Ekiti workers stage thank you work for Yebanji's second term. I shall respond to detractors on June 20. The governor is speaking on page 4. Women mega rally signal movement for participation for TUPA. That's according to a minister on page 4. Why ADC Accord ZLP AAAPP should be deregistered. AGF tells court on page 18. Proceeding to page 16, NNPC completes $700 million OB3 gas pipelines river Niger crossing, designed to transport up to 2 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day. Ambode backs Hamzat as Lagos APC candidate. Jando withdraws from race, page 20. Bridge laying in Kwara or Yo collapses, page 30. Tinubu nominates Tegbe as Minister of Power, page 3. Appoints Lanre Babalola as Special Advisor on Power.
Okay, so from Daily Sun, the big story there says Supreme Court gives Mark-led ADC NWC lifeline, settles PDP's case, overrules appeal court, all factions to return to High Court, sacks PDP's Turaki leadership on page 8. Labour marks May Day as FG declares holiday. That's today, page 20. That's 26 of Daily Sun. Angwan Rukuba killing, security tightened as suspect appear in court, plead not guilty. The story is on page 4. Varsities brace up for disruption as Sanu Nasu begins strike on page 27. Don't repeat 2023 election mistake, Wike tells Abuja Monarchs. That story is on page 28. Interesting one. It has a reader that says seek support for Adoda. Borrowing for consumption cancerous Obi. Calls for accountability, transparency in public borrowing on page 28. Motorists grown as petrol price nears 1,400 naira. Marketers, refiners seek urgent palliative. These are the headlines on the front page of Sun.
All right, then on the front page of the Vanguard, Supreme Court occasions ADC's Mark Axes PDP's Turaki, page 5. Lots of riders there. Rambi Tinubu rolls out 1.2 billion naira, 100 tracks of rice for vulnerable northern families on page 38. Workers mark May Day in pains as Labour decries insecurity, poverty, inflation on page 7. Obitu Tinubu, borrowing for consumption is killer cancer on page 9. Lagos 2027, 120 APC leaders sign Hamzat's governorship nomination form on page 14. Tinubu mandates Bajabia Mila Masari to supervise APC NAS primaries, page 9. Page 19, LCCI tasks FG on weak budget execution, delaying funds release.
Okay, so over to get a newspaper. The big story on page 6 says clarity, uncertainty as Supreme Court reshapes opposition ahead of 2027. Sanun Nasu embark on indefinite strike today. You can see that on page 8. Boko Haram threatens to execute 416 captives on page 4. Worsening cost of living crisis overshadows May Day despite wage increase on page 6. Niger local government records 2 polio cases as Katsina decries gaps in vaccination on page 6. FG resolves MM2 concession dispute, approves aircraft leasing firm. The story is on page 7. That's Murita Mohammed International Airport 2. LG begins 18-month database modernization ahead of census on page 8. This has lingered for quite a while. I don't know when it's going to come to fruition. INEC affirms exclusive right to declare poll result as CSO deploys tracker on page 3. FEC approves $2.9 billion rail project for Lagos, Kano, Kaduna on page 3. And the last headline says, Respect the Electoral Act, shift primaries to September. Hashim tells Tinubu INEC on page 3 of The Guardian.
All right, then we take a break now and attend to some commercials. Once we come back, the conversation would continue. Do stays the polity, Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. When you think of roofing, think of strength. When you think of durability, think of beauty. And when you think of all three combined, think Best Aluminium MFG Limited. At Best Aluminium, we don't just manufacture roofing sheets. We create protection, comfort, and style for your home and business. Whether you're building from scratch or repairing an old roof, we have exactly what you need. Our products include stone-coated roofing sheets, aluminum roofing sheets, and colored roofing sheets. But that's not all. We also offer residential and commercial roofing services, roof repairs, gutters, emergency roofing services, and even durable cookwares that bring quality to your kitchen. Visit us today at 30/32 Anyika Street, Awada Obosi, Anambra State, or call us right now on 0806 416 2374 or 0706 059 6203. Are you smart, confident, and ready to earn big? Do you have a passion for sales and marketing? Then listen up. Udala Radio 104.7 FM is calling on ambitious, result-driven individuals to join our team as marketers. No limits, no boundaries, just results and rewards. Work at your own pace, meet amazing clients, and grow your income. Sell it, share it, earn your way. Join Udala Radio and start today. Interested? Visit our station today at number 5 Okono Street, Onitsha, or call 0803 350 4206 or send your CV to udalaradio@gmail.com. Don't wait. Your success story starts here. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
So Tony, quickly, let's start off with Workers' Day, May 1st, 2026. And of course, workers are decrying worsening living crisis and insecurity, inflation. They are demanding a review of the 70,000 naira minimum wage, as according to them it has lost value because of naira volatility, inflation, the Iran-US Israeli bombardment that has put a pressure on the price of crude and consequently the price of petrol, which unfortunately a lot of Nigerian families, businesses depend on. Okay, it has driven transport, food costs to being very high. Workers are saying their living standards are worse than even 2019. Food prices have remained elevated despite inflation slowdown. Price declines insufficient to ease hardship. And Labour is also signaling early push ahead of 2027 wage review. Last I checked, after the review of the last time, it was supposed to be reviewed again in 2027. And here we have Labour saying we would need this to be touched on ASAP. And so let's quickly touch on that before we head over to the Supreme Court judgment of the PDP and the ADC yesterday.
Well, let's quickly make it known very well that Nigerian workers each year, promises will be made. Today, expect governors to make a mouth-watering promises. Governors will be taking salutes because there will be a march past, and during this march past, there will be address coming from the state governors. You will hear promises, mouth-watering promises. These promises, in fact, 95% of them are not in any way implemented. It's a way to lift their heart up. But just like you said earlier on, Nigerian workers, they have been bearing the brunt on many fronts. Many of them, they are actually really beggars. You know what I call them, Nigerian workers, they are Nigerian beggars. But that's not what it should be. It's not what it's supposed to be. If you look around, I remember how these workers, they started. It is very important for those who believe in history, for those who know history. It was something that started in 1886. That was where it started. And if I tell you that when it started, it was as a result of the workers deploying about 16 hours in a day. Most time they work from 10 to 16 hours. But at a point, they felt that the bourgeois and those who employ them, we are taking advantage of them, and they were exploiting them. They said no to that, and that was how these workers' day of a thing started. It started to break down this long rule of 18 or 10 to 16 hours, and it was something that happened in United States of America. And then that was, but the declaration came 4 years later. It was Haymarket riot in Chicago. It happened on May 1st, 1886, not 1886. That's the year it happened, where the workers across the U.S. began massive strikes and protests. They were demanding 8-hour work day, not 10 hours, not 16 hours. They were demanding 8 hours because at that period, 10 to 16 hours were common. And during that very protest at Haymarket Square, a bomb exploded, leading to violence, death of police officers, civilians, people died. It was in 1889, during the Second International Global Federation of Socialists and Labour Parties Summit. They declared officially May 1st to be a day to honor workers and commemorate the Haymarket events. So the first International Workers' Day was widely observed in 1890. Here in Nigeria, it was something that started in 1980. But that will be much I'm going to give as history to the Workers' Day we have here. But we've seen situations where wage disparity, I've heard some people saying that what they are paid in Nigeria is not living wage. Anything not living, because if you go to the Constitution and if you go to our Labor Act, you will hear living wage. Are these things living? Would they make anybody to be living? But the truth remains that many of them are denied a lot of entitlements. There are things workers are entitled to in area of health, in area of shelter, that is accommodation, transportation. Some of these things are not here in Nigeria, because if you go to some of these countries I mentioned, South Africa, Kenya, even Rwanda, closer to Germany, UK, you will see certain rights and privileges, full package for workers. In fact, it will be a pride for you to be addressed as a worker, but not so in Nigeria. Many workers in Nigeria, they feed from hand to mouth. That's the honest truth. And many of them go into extra workers' ambience to feed themselves. That's why there is corruption more. And many of these people, of course, one would also observe that they are the engine of development of a country, the workforce. And that is why some of them, when they do these things, many will just say, are they not the same kind of people that collect bribe? If they want to move your file from one office to the other, if you don't settle them, the files will not be moved. Are they not the same set of people that what is the difference between them and the politicians? That politicians use them to steal. That it is hard for a politician to steal without using a member of the workforce. That's what some people do say. But interestingly, you have bad eggs among many professions. There are bad eggs there. So we cannot penalize them and deny them what is due for them because some of them collude with politicians to steal our common patrimony. The point I'm trying to make is we're going to talk about policies aimed to strengthen the workers' condition in Nigeria. It's not about salary or wage. It's not about it. There are other things. At least if you have given 35 years of service in this country, what awaits you after that 35 years? There should be something apart from the pension. You should have a home. I don't know gratuity because that's what most governments do pay to workers to see to their transition to retirement. These gratuities, how much are these gratuities? Are they being paid as and when do? These things are things we should look into. If you look at transportation, it's a major problem for workers. What are the state government doing to alleviate the plight of transportation for some of them to ferry themselves from where they stay to the work is a problem. And transportation seems to be that very component that takes away the larger chunk of somebody's salary or wage at the end of the month. That's some transportation. And there are other things that they are demanding. It's not about demanding living wage all the time. If they demand additional increment, even if you give them this increment, the inflation in the system, the money or value purchasing power eroded, these things will make it the way it were before. The key thing is government should ensure policies, drive policies that will bring down inflation. Money should have its value, and they should look at other things outside living wage, which I'm not saying is not one of the important issues, but the concentration is on wage. It should be other issues. We are looking at health care, apart from health care, housing scheme. When we are growing up, there are schemes government do map out for workers. And most times, these things are deducted from their wages. At least by the time they are done serving the country, they become house owners. Do we still have things like this?
I read something about some mortgage plan. I think that would allow people who have houses to now take mortgages to renovate or something of that nature. While unfortunately bulk of civil servants cannot relate, we are hoping that in the coming days an average Nigerian civil servant can actually come out of the woods. It stops being a poor man's job. It stops being one that after doing or while doing, one is left destitute. Now let's move on to the political circle, Tony. Yesterday, the Supreme Court gave judgment in the cases of ADC and PDP before it. Of course, I'm taking this report from this day newspaper. We understand that yesterday the Supreme Court restored the David Mark-led leadership of the ADC, and of course affirmed the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which nullified the convention that the PDP had in Ibadan. So let's pick it up from there.
Yesterday the D-Day came, and many of us knew very well that it was going to be either make or mar. Like we did say yesterday during our program that the judgment will be make or mar. But interestingly, the Supreme Court did a great work. But it was a split judgment, remember. In the case of PDP leadership, it was a split judgment.
3-2.
3-2. But in the case of ADC, it was unanimous. Let's begin with that of PDP leadership, because the Turaki-led faction made an appeal at the Supreme Court, because Court of Appeal had nullified the PDP National Convention held in Ibadan, Oyo State. That was around November 15 to 16, 2025. But the court ruled that the convention was invalid because it was conducted in defiance of a subsisting court order restraining it. Because if you look at the appellants, Turaki-led faction, they were expected, according to the court, to obey lower court decisions rather than proceed with the convention. That means that the leadership that they made from the Ibadan Convention, that is Kabiru, Taminu, Turaki-led executives, is not recognized. And the ruling effectively validate earlier processes or statutes that we are challenged. But there are different interpretations to Supreme Court ruling. If you look at it, we would let you know that, of course, Chioma Wosiyeme, if I can remember, Stephen Ada, and then I'm just trying to remember the Supreme Court justices that delivered judgment on that, and the split we had. The point I'm trying to make is, those who were against, because the two judges, the Supreme Court justices, who were against the three, we of the view that the matter borders on leadership of the matter of the party, and they had maintained at that level that it is not justiciable, that no court has jurisdiction over leadership of a political party. That is the two that we are against the three. The three gave their judgment on technical ground, that you cannot disobey court and approach court for intervention. You cannot disobey court and also approach court for reprieve. That is not, that is technicality. For me, that is purely emotional. It is purely emotional. But the other two were of the view that what was the matter before that court? We are this lower court warned severally by the Supreme Court that the matter or any issue on leadership is not justiciable. The two others anchored their judgment on that, but unfortunately they were just two. But the other three were of the view that you ought to have obeyed the court order, no matter how wrong it could be. Go and vacate it as against proceeding to hold that convention. That irrespective of how wrong a court order or a court ruling could be, don't disobey it. Vacate it first before moving forward. They could have gone to appeal court to challenge the ruling of that very court as against going to hold their conventions. So invariably what that means is that PDP is bereft of leadership because they did not go on to validate the Abdurrahman led faction, because it was not a subject before the court as we speak, or before the judgment that was given yesterday. But there are people who are of the view, like Wike, that Abdurrahman Muhammad and Samuel Anyanwu, along other National Working Committee members elected at a separate convention, are now the authentic leadership. That is interpretation, but that was not before the court. The court was looking at what happened at a Bado convention, an earlier judgment given by appeal court. Remember, appeal court also upheld the suspension of Samuel Anyanwu and others. Supreme Court also upheld the decision of the Court of Appeal, and also upheld the decision of the Court of Appeal in the area of convention. But Samuel Anyanwu was the first that gave media interview about the development, praising Supreme Court ruling. Was the same Samuel Anyanwu not the person that Supreme Court upheld his expulsion from the party? So on what platform or ground is he now talking? Because it was part of the decision of the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court upheld the judgment of Court of Appeal in a split judgment, as we have mentioned, away from that very judgment of PDP. Because from the look of things, Supreme Court did not affirm any convention, any Congress as being authentic, because it is not in their position to do. Supreme Court does not give party their leadership. Rather, it will look at a process that led to emergence of any leadership of the party. For the fact that INEC is recognizing Wike faction, it is also right for Turaki-led faction to challenge the convention held by Wike faction. That is one. Let's leave that. We'll go straight to what happened in the case of ADC.
Tony, sorry, okay. Before you go there, because I think we need to establish some things that are going to make it clear in the minds of people what actually happened that very day. You've been able to establish or put out an explainer of what the judgment was all about. One is that the judgment upheld the decision of the appeal court that nullified the Bada Convention. That's number one. It also upheld the suspension of Anyanwu and the three others who were no longer part of PDP. Now, where I want us to get to is, from that very judgment, what does he suppose? What is the implication? Because if you listen to BOT of PDP, those who are on the side of Makinde, they are saying that as it stands now, by the virtue of the Supreme Court judgment, there is no PDP leadership recognized by anybody or recognized by law. So what that simply means is that the BOT has to step in pursuance of a section of the PDP constitution, then make an effort to put up a caretaker committee. Now look at the argument. The argument is that by the virtue of the fact that the court upheld the suspension of Anyanwu and Co, who have been part of the process that gave rise to Abdul Rahman committee, that what it simply means is that any other leadership of the party is null and void.
Well, that's the interpretation. Remember, if the court gives judgment suo motu, you know what that means? Suo motu means when no party made a request for it, the judge or the court acting on its own accord, because that's what I'm going to talk about that on the case of ADC. But the parties should also be given the space and time to also make some brief on that if the court wants to go that way. What I'm trying to say is this: what was before Supreme Court yesterday was what it dispensed justice on, and what was before the court, the judgment of the Federal High Court, the judgment of the Appeal Court, and the brief written by parties involved, adopted. These were things before the Supreme Court yesterday. Supreme Court, as at yesterday, did not have issue of Abdurrahman Muhammad led faction being either the authentic leadership of PDP or not. That was not before it yesterday. But I understand the interpretation, because it upheld the decision of the Court of Appeal to suspend Samuel Ayo. And by mere deduction, how can somebody who was suspended, expelled, right? Was it suspended or expelled?
Expelled.
Expelled. How can somebody expelled now be part of those that gave room to a new leadership? And where is the secretary, national secretary? How does it work? You are expelled. Affirmed by the Supreme Court. But the issue is, if a party decides that they should have a leadership, which Wiki did, that has to be challenged. It's not by mouth. I was listening to Inebong, and I also was listening to the policy secretary on the other side, because you don't have any to clear faction again. But you have those who believe that it's not Wiki-led leadership. Supreme Court yesterday extinguished anything about Turaki-led faction. It was extinguished. It died natural death yesterday. What we have presently is Wiki-led leadership, but which some people believe it is not authentic leadership. They should go to court and challenge it, and also ask that INEC did recognize that very leadership, but it must be through a court process. Of course, they have to give the reason.
So in essence, the issue of PDP leadership is not resolved. What was resolved was the fact that the convention of last year was invalid.
Exactly.
So let's now go to the ADC.
All right, on the part of ADC, we saw yesterday there was apprehension, because I saw some people who were members of ADC. They were kneeling down, praying, doing all manner of incantation, calling Jehovah Nissi, Jehovah El Shaddai, Jehovah Elroy. They were making all those things because they had all their faith in what was going to happen yesterday. Immediately, that issue of antebellum, status quo antebellum, was vacated by one of the justices of the Supreme Court, who was really the lead judgment. If you see the way and manner, joy erupted everywhere. They did not even allow the Supreme Court justice who was delivering the judgment to continue, but they were asked to go outside the court. They were jumping up and down as if manners have fallen from heaven. But that's by the way. It was more like delirium. The point is, The Supreme Court yesterday faulted appeal court, upheld appeal court judgment in some part. Where the court faulted appeal court was making that statement, status quo ante bellum. That's where a Supreme Court faulted appeal court. And he said, you couldn't have made that very statement. That is a restraining order. When you have not in any way delved into the issue, the matter came before you. You directed that the matter be sent back to trial court. Why are you putting restraining order? Because you did not deal substantively on that. You are looking at issues brought before you on jurisdiction, and which you rightly upheld that it was premature. It was premature because David Mark raised issue of jurisdiction at the level of court of Federal High Court, the trial court. The trial court did not give judgment whether it has jurisdiction. He said it was going to be part of his consolidated judgment. I don't know if you understand me. It was going to be part of his consolidated, because sometimes if you raise issue of jurisdiction, the court may not dispatch immediately with it. It may also take notes on that issue, but it will form part of his consolidated judgment. And the court, Federal High Court, has not given judgment whether he has jurisdiction or he does not. You ran to appeal court. Appeal court told you it was premature. That the court first and foremost must make judgment. If the court says he has jurisdiction, then you can challenge his ruling at the appeal court that he has no jurisdiction. That the court was yet to make ruling whether it has jurisdiction or it has no jurisdiction, but he has said that the trial should continue. But he did not make a definite ruling on the issue of jurisdiction. He ran to appeal court. And appeal court rightly said no, it was premature because there is nothing before us to decide, because the court has not said whether he has or he has not. It is when he says he has, we now look at whether it has really. When he says he has not, we also look at it, but he hasn't said anything. For the fact that the court has not said anything, there is nothing before us. That was what appeal court ruled and sent you back. But the Supreme Court said, yes, appeal court, you did right, but the restraining order and the status quo ante bellum, where did it come from? You did not even look at the matter, because the matter has not been tried. Allow the matter to be tried. But issue of jurisdiction, let it be tried. You don't put a restraining order. Where did it come from? So it was on that basis that the Supreme Court vacated that status quo ante bellum that made INEC to de-recognize David Mark's leadership. So what it means that Supreme Court restored that leadership. They moved that restraining order. INEC, the way things were at that time, should be maintained until the court, Federal High Court, makes pronouncement. There are some people who are saying that those who are jubilating, don't they know that it was a trap? That the matter is not dead. Yes, the matter is not dead.
I believe it's like a distraction.
It's alive, but those who are jubilating have a reason. At least it will make them to feel the candidate. By the time Federal High Court will accelerate is. But don't be surprised that you may be preparing for election. What you will hear different, but we don't pray for that. The truth is, Supreme Court did what we call pure interpretation of the law. That is why whenever they say we are not infallible, or we are not finals because we are infallible, but rather we are infallible because we are final.
Okay, let's talk about that other side of the conversation. Some persons looking at a possible cage open somewhere that the ADC and other parties are walking into. The Attorney General of the Federation has urged the Federal High Court in Abuja to compel INEC to deregister 5 political parties, arguing that their continued existence violates constitutional provisions and undermines Nigeria's electoral integrity. In a court filing, the Attorney General contended that unless the court intervenes, INEC would continue to act in breach of its constitution. And so we are looking at ADC, that's the African Democratic Congress, Action Alliance, AA, Action People's Party, APP, Accord, A, and Zenith Labour Party, ZLP. At the center of the issue is the case is whether
it's immaterial, but
do you see this as a witch hunt?
For me, it's political. It's not really a witch hunt. It's political. Political in the sense that, of course, the political in the sense that there is this push to ensure that ADC is deregistered. Of course, ADC.
Why is ADC such a threat?
Because of the what do you call it,
There are other
coalition?
political parties that can actually,
It's a coalition.
would I say, assimilate the same person?
It's a coalition. It's a coalition, and there is.
Sorry, can I offer small clarification about that very
yeah, sure.
seat? Because this seat was originally filed by one group called
Yes.
Incorporated Trustees of National Forum of Former Legislators against INEC. Now, in that very case they filed, the AGF was mentioned as one defendant, so that warranted the AGF, to go to court to also file his own brief. But what is interesting, just like you have pointed out, is the fact that these association of incorporated former legislators, they are just political groups who we know that during elections people tend to use them to achieve their political ends. And the issue is now the Attorney General of the Federation. What moral burden does he have, to make a case that INEC be compelled to do what it's supposed to do? Should INEC be compelled to do what it's supposed to do? Because we know that under Jega, when INEC went to deregister some parties, nobody forced INEC to do that. INEC did that on its own. Where even some parties even went to court, likes of Who Party and what have you not today.
Well, just like you asked, can INEC be compelled? Because INEC listens to court, and any matter you bring before any court of competent jurisdiction, whatever court decides becomes what INEC is going to do. We saw how INEC declared Makinde as the winner of governorship election in Imo State. Court says no, it's Hope Uzodimma. The Supreme Court did so, and INEC issued Hope Uzodimma certificate of return immediately, even when he did not declare. In fact, they did not even understand on what basis was Hope Uzodimma declared the winner, but it was the pronouncement of court. We've seen situations where court ruled that certain bodies cannot be compelled to do their job. I remember when one reverend gentleman went to court challenging that EACC has not attended to his petition on Oshomole when he left as a governor. The court ruled it cannot tell EACC when to do his job. That's the ruling of the court. I don't know if that will be the same here, because interpretation varies. The point I'm trying to make is, we've seen, just like Franklin mentioned, yes, incorporated trustees. They were the people that formerly filed these very suits. National Forum of Former Legislators. They were the first to file these suits. And you look at it, the Attorney General was one of the defendants. But he went to court and joined and lined with the plaintiff by filing an affidavit or notice supporting the registration. And he did that on 30th of April. He did that was yesterday. Even the very day Supreme Court was to make judgment on ADC leadership, that was the day Attorney General Lateef Fagbemi went to court filing an affidavit supporting the deregistration, even when he was listed as one of the defendants. Well, because according to the reason you mentioned, non-compliance to the provisions of Section 225A of the 1999 Constitution. And if you look at that very provision, it states that a political party, it set a threshold for a political party to remain afloat as a registered political party, win at least one seat in the presidential, governorship, National Assembly. You must win at least one seat. And also, or even state assembly, or local government elections. All the elections, you must at least win one seat. And you must score a prescribed minimum. If you don't win a seat, at least you must score a prescribed minimum percentage of votes in these elections. So they're saying ADC has not won one seat. There are people you have currently in ADC, they all defected from the platforms they were elected. The one of
Is this a serious threat? I mean, if this is pursued further, do you see the ADC actually getting delisted?
It's gonna linger. Probably if it's given acceleration the way I looked at things, court may agree.
Because if that is what the Constitution says, then the ADC has no reason to be in existence.
Court may agree. Court may agree. But because in that very threshold, it did not in any way envisage defection. None of these people in ADC currently won election on the ADC platform. But the truth remains
and the
that
party is what wins election, not
and the truth is this: on the technical aspect of it, does the association of the National Forum of Former Legislators locus, because they are not political party, do they have locus to go to court to enforce this? That's another thing. In the real sense, I doubt if they have locus.
No, Tony, because now you're talking about locals, because that's why this is suspicious. Because this very group is the one that filed this very suit first. And guess what? That suit was initially filed, and the only ADC was mentioned. So when people began to raise eyebrow, they now went and added some other parties.
They added Zenith Labour Party, and even added Chowore's party.
Even Accord Party, they were all mentioned.
AAC.
I think about 6 or 7 of them. So that's where people are now raising question about how are we intentionally trying to derail our democracy, where politicians deploy all manner of tactics just to ensure that they get to kill opposition, and the ruling party will be able to have the course enlarged during the election.
The truth is, if these people had done this work very early, I don't have a problem with it, but I'm concerned about the timing because election is approaching. That's where I have concern. Ordinarily, if we have a law that should be obeyed, you have no reason being a political party when you cannot win a single seat. But my concern is the timing. Why is it coming now? But if you look at it, because there are people that have accused Chowore of using that very political party. You are the chairman, you are the presidential candidate, you everything on the party.
He told this thing from my mouth because this morning I had to go through the site, the INEC site. I checked AA. That party has been led by Shola as national chairman since it was formed.
Yes.
And I have never heard that they had a convention where he was re-elected. So
you really think Shore is out there for that to be an actual party? Is
it not tenured?
Everything, if you go to the constitution, the tenure of a political party chairman should be 4 years, but Chogoro will tell you that he has been elected. And remember, even Ralph Wosu, before he left as the national chairman of ADC, remember he had been there for a very long time. What they do is, each time their tenure expires, they re-elect themselves. That's what they do. But the point I'm trying to make is, some people use political parties to make money. It's an enterprise. It's business. The way we call.
There's one man from Imo State who does it very well. I won't mention his name.
That is the problem we have here.
You need to go
so I'm concerned that yes, if you look at APP, Zenith Labour Party, even Action Accord, Action People's Party, some of these political parties have not one seat. The point remains, for me, let's allow this election to go. If they fail to win any seats after this election, then let this take course.
That isn't what the Constitution says.
The process will be on after the election, because if they go to Federal High Court, if Federal High Court rules, he will go to Appeal Court. If Appeal Court, he will still go back to Supreme Court. By that time, I don't know if election may have taken place.
And then there has to be an exception for a party that seemingly is like a new party now. It's like they started afresh. And so there has to be an exception.
No. There's no such, because ADC, in the eyes of the law, is not a new political party.
So they can actually all step out now and start a new political party.
If for you to start a new political party is a long process, and it is within the prerogative of INEC
and
to
there
also
are dates for certain documents to be submitted for some interesting times.
You know that NDC is also being questioned, right? NDC is also being questioned. Absolutely. They are asking that it should be deregistered.
Many of them use these political parties for business.
Let's go on this break. Commercials next, and then we take your calls.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
The land is green.
For too long, realtors have walked alone. No structure, no protection, no unified voice. That era ends now. Welcome to the Realtors Summit 2026, a historic gathering that will redefine real estate in Anambra and Asaba. The Anambra Asaba Realtors Association, a platform for unity, influence, and collective power. And beyond that, a Realtors Welfare Initiative built to support you when it matters most. Strengthen your career and secure your future in the industry. At this summit, you'll discover smarter ways strategies to close and scale multiple income channels in real estate, and strategies that move you from hustle to ownership and authority. Featuring Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki of Udala FM, Lovelin Chinenye Nana, Property Boss, and Mr. Jude Igwebike, IT Professional. Date 2nd May 2026. Time 11 a.m. Venue 5-star Restaurant Hall, Stock Exchange, Onisha. This is not for everyone, but for realtors who are ready to rise. For inquiries, call 0803-276-0653. This summit is free, powered by Nebek Real Estate Limited.
It's green. Oh, oh.
Searching for a place to eat good food and still enjoy premium relaxation? Stanley Ward Agwoka got you covered. Welcome to Stanley SFF Restaurant and Operiche Lounge Agwoka, where taste meets class. From hot, delicious local dishes to mouth-watering African and continental cuisines, pepper soup, grilled meat, rice, drinks, and many more. Everything is fresh and satisfying. Step into Operiche Lounge, a calm, classy environment to chill, hang out, and unwind. Perfect for friends, dates, and after work relaxation. Chop well, drink well, and feel cool morning, afternoon, and night. Stanley SFF Restaurant and Operiche Lounge, a haven for good food, great vibes, top security, and steady comfort. For further inquiry, call 0814-565-6920 or 0813-855-8009.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, mama papa they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, even children they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, and in town, Wendy's bread, you get it better tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your bachichoma. Wendy's bread,
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onisha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza, Atani Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Are you smart, confident, and ready to earn big? Do you have a passion for sales and marketing? Then listen up. Udala Radio 104.7 FM is calling on ambitious, result-driven individuals to join our team as marketers. No limits, no boundaries, just results and rewards. Work at your own pace, meet amazing clients, and grow your income. Sell it, share it, earn your way. Join Udala Radio and start today. Interested? Visit our station today at number 5 Okono Street, Onitsha, or call 0803-350-4206 or send your CV to udalaradio@gmail.com. Don't wait. Your success story starts here. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. Igbo proverbs, words of wisdom passed down through generations. Genonte. Ọtụtụ ka eji achọ ewu ojii. The search for a black goat should start before nightfall. This means that it's best to take advantage of a situation when it's favorable to you. 104.7 Udala Radio. You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
And just before we open up the phone lines, just to let you know that yesterday, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, relisted now. I'll say relisted the name of David Mark.
They restored David Mark and Arebo Shala as both national chairman and secretary and other officers.
Relisted.
They put them back on the
INEC portal.
On the INEC portal. That tells that they obeyed Supreme Court's judgment. Of course, you must commend them.
Quite speedy.
You know, very speedy, because they did not even wait for them to be served the CTC of the judgment. Before INEC obeys things like this, they will ask for the certified true copy of the judgment and they send it to their legal department. After scrutiny by the legal department, that will be done. But they did it without having the certified true copy, without the legal department getting involved. They did it immediately. Could be because of the pressure Nigerians mounted on them. Maybe.
08032216973 08038276694 Those are the numbers to call to be a part of the conversation. To let you also know we are live on Facebook, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Drop your comment right under the video of the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, my speaker.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Good morning, Steve. I'm Makinde. This is the voice of honor. This is to call you from our racing kingdom, but I'm calling from you now. My speaker is now clear. It's obvious. Clear indication that the government in power are fighting opposition. And the people who say about the Attorney General now, fighting and all that. You see, they are fighting the opposition. They don't want opposition to stay, which is very bad. And for the information, I had from one source, what's he telling you? It's a top position that ADC, what it is not another part of the country. You may Google it and see whether it is true. Yeah, I had it from Ugochukwu Oidi just now, before the guy, I think he sees the other side too. So what is happening in this country is dangerous. Very dangerous. Yes, these things are trying to keep democracy. If they kill democracy, there are some of which they not be palatable for both them and the judiciary. Every of them. You see, judiciary, as you see, remember when we get looking at Supreme Court. Supreme Court gave a judgment that what the people did not request for by dropping all the election in the state, state election in the state. Because the property is power. Why are they too busy to go to the Supreme Court the people did not request? We did not request about that leadership independent district. But I think Supreme Court notify the election. What is all that during that time? But now they have said this. They want to do good, they do good. They will not do good, they don't do. So I'm not opposing the truth. I do not oppose them. Just in the other way to go, what they do. But now they say the right thing. Thank you. I'm done.
All right, then 0803221-697-308-803-8276-694. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
I want to speak on that the legislation they are talking about, and they do not want anything. From my observation, they had one house of reps in Kogi State. That guy who was supporting the Gombe guy from Kogi State, house of reps. So they have one member there. Maybe these people did not do that.
You said ADC.
The House of Rep member from ADC that Bajamimila told that he should remain there.
Okay, go on.
Please go on. Oh, I think that will be all.
Good morning, everyone in the studio.
Yes, good morning.
Good evening. It's Gafagego streaming live from Osmogo.
Okay, go on.
I'm not hearing you, but I believe you are hearing me. So
Yes.
let me proceed. You see, the Supreme Court justices, they have lived up to expectation as to the judgment they delivered yesterday. Yes, I used to say it, and I know I have said it on this platform. Rig 2027 election, and you'll be bundled, you'll be arrested, and you'll be kidnapped. I mean, you'll be captured. This is a statement made to the whole world by our great man, Donald Trump, to these people who are known for their rigging expertise. all claiming to be democratic. Democracy is owned by America, and the Trump has come to protect it. Rig 2027 election and be captured. Yes, there are those to this whom this statement was referred to, and I believe throughout the whole world they are listening. Kudos to the judges yesterday. LDC, yes, God sent a party. Nigeria was to be recovered. Nigeria was to be recovered from the hands of evil people. The Supreme Court justices yesterday, they told us that Nigeria is recoverable. LDC has got that win correct, but the coast is not yet cleared. Our Peter, or I don't know how the name is pronounced, should be removed with immediate effect. He must not be there. I said it here that even the Namajoris on the street of the north, they know what to remain as you wear this in the law. And Amu Peter claims to be, a man claims to be professor at law. He put us into this danger because he was bought over.
All right. You have
He
to.
was there
You have to report.
being biased
All right. Thank you.
to hold us onto this bondage to this time.
Thank you very much. Please just note that you have a limited time for you to make a contribution. Hello. Good morning. Go on. Tell us your name. Hello. Can you hear me?
My name is Anthony Meseta. I'm calling from Onitsha.
Go on, Mr. Anthony.
My take is on the continuous efforts by the federal government, to make sure that the president is the only candidate on the ballot. By the suit being filed by the AGF to delist ADC. I'm asking why ADC? Is ADC actually a threat as they have cajoled? And the suit was that they should be delisted because of non-performance, that they have not met the threshold. As if that the president or the attorney general is unaware that Mr. Femi Abejide of Yaba East of Kogi State won House of Rep membership seat on ADC platform. So I don't know where it says that every member of the ADC has just defected. So for me, all these fruitless efforts by the party in power, the ruling party, to make sure that they are the only one on the ballot, disproves this saying that the president is the one to beat at the ballot. Whenever I hear something to me, the president is the person to beat on to the election. I used to wonder where it comes from, because there has been fears, all the effort to silence opponents so that he will be the one man standing at the ballot. So
right. Thank you.
I am glad that political opponents are not backing down. Let the contest be set up, and let us see who is popular at the ballot. So all these things are needless. They are needless.
All right, thank you. So, and I must commend the person who actually raised it because Lekia Bejide, he won the House of Reps election in Yabwa Federal Constituency in Kogi State. That was in 2023. He won the APC candidate in that very election. I think he put about 23,000 votes to win that election. Okay, so that's what the fact is all about in that very case. So, talking about whether ADC won any seat or not, that is a fact for everybody now. So let's quickly get to our Facebook page to see the reactions, because we have plenty of them and they won't be able to acknowledge all of them, but at least we're going to do we're going to try our best to ensure that we get to recognize the posts you have made. Plenty of them, about 25 of them now. So let's see where are we starting. So Ugochukwu Christopher from Abatan Sube says the attacks on ADC are gearing up from different angles, aiming to take them out of the way. From coalition group to judiciary, one story today, another tomorrow. ADC must be left alone for democracy to have its way. We are witnessing a negative form of political opposition from APC and its agent. And he says, P2B is out of Labour Party and they have left Labour Party alone. Now, it is ADC today and ADC tomorrow. Danny Stitches, thank you for watching from Awada. He says, Nigeria and Nigerians are really confused. We don't even know they want to face. Is it insecurity, but bandits or terrorists? Moses Chukwu Manjo, thank you for watching from Umunukupo. Okay, sorry, Umuhupo. Chelozie Prince says, what Harrison government issue is saying, he's saying that the same thing happens here in Onitsha. If you are going to housing estate after passing magazine, going down that river after Pillars Petrol Station, there are policemen standing there on that very bridge. There is a man in their midst who is not a police officer or a policeman, but a shuttle bus driver. Many times they will give him police shirt and cap to wear, and he too will also be stopping cars, check their license, and search cars there. So just trying to confirm what Harrison talked about. He said it happens here in Onitsha. Dr. Mizimo Lebera from Owerri says the judiciary should desist from confusing Nigerians until there is a total overhaul of our judiciary that is alleged to be bedeviled with corruption, indiscipline, lawlessness, and the emasculation of power. We will make no way. It needs purging because justice is on leave, equity is at leave, and honor is sick. Thank you for dropping by and just trying to cut short all the posts that you people made so that we can accommodate more people. This one says, okay, he is pointing out that cheesy nugget. So it's also saying the same thing that Leke won a seat in Kogi State under ADC. So that has been noted. Then which will be, thank you for watching from Ehala. Azubi K and the blog from Makija says, okay, happy Workers' Day to everybody in the studio. It's a good thing that they have finally recognized ADC, and he says congratulations to them. Or do I say congratulations to P2B? Flourish Bay says things are no longer at ease in Nigeria. The alarming insecurity and indiscriminate killings of innocent Nigerians is getting out of hand. High poverty level, unemployment, crime, bad governance, a lot of corruption and conspiracy in the country. Okay, Oluchi Chima says, he says the report from Harrison on police giving police t-shirts is true, and he says come to 33 police station, you will see up to 6 of them or more. They are not police officers or vigilante, but they are just able boys working for police, extorting commercial drivers and ticket riders for 33 divisional police. So 2 persons are saying the same thing here. Chris Ken watching from Moscow in Russia, thank you for being there. Modun Dominic watching from Japan, we also thank you for following us. Blessed Okoyangolika, Ike Chuku, Sebastian Igwe, plenty of them. Walter Prince, also Francis Namani, Ekuma Ifani, Eke Gonas, plenty of others who posted, we thank you. Jennifer Sunday, we thank you. So we are going to wrap up, Tony, but the thing is this, we talked about APC crossing one hurdle. The hurdle that was crossed was the fact that Supreme Court said go back to the court of first instance, the court that, okay, the court where you have a case against Balagombe, and deal with the issue. Let the court hear the matter and determine it. The only thing Supreme Court did was to, vacate that very status quo antebellum, which did recognize Mark-led ESCO. So what it means now is Mark and Co are back on track to go ahead with their ADC activities. That's one hurdle. Then the second one is that 2 days ago there was also a court judgment in a suit filed by Norman, one of the so-called former chairmen in the state, and that court judgment nullified the congresses conducted by the ADC, which gave rise to their convention, where they ratified the Mark-led ESCO. So as it stands now, how many dance steps are left?
The truth is, let's go by the last one you mentioned. Federal High Court was talking about a particular state congress not the General Convention, by what we looked at yesterday, saying that the very convention or the very Congress that produced a different party chairman in that very state is hereby nullified. But it was that very Congress that also ratified the Mark-led leadership. Remember, before that Congress, Mark was interim or the acting national chairman. The truth remains that the judgment of Federal High Court does not rub off Mark leadership. It does not rub off. Disjunctively, it does not. No matter how you try to interpret it separately, it does not. The fact remains that the judgment of the Federal High Court on that very state Congress, the parties involved should also go to appeal court. It does not affect the leadership of Mark. But what is important is Bala Nafiu Gombe case is still on at the Federal High Court. And Federal High Court is ruling is expected, because if Federal High Court rules that Bala Gombe is the national chairman of the party, having inherited it after others have left, probably it will be another challenge. Mark could also go and challenge that on the Court of Appeal, and then comes on the ground of interfering in the party leadership and other grounds. But as it now, he is the national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, and that allows him to ensure that the candidates of the party are well fielded. And remember, the INEC did not attend that very convention. Hope you're aware. But the issue of convention was not what was before the Supreme Court. It's a matter on its own. It's a matter, and in fact, the judgment was on state Congress. These things are there. INEC speedily, for the first time in history, the Supreme Court pronounced, INEC immediately obeyed. And George Amoputan, of course, for those who may have different thought about him, has that changed your thought about him? Is he going to still conduct the 2027 general election the way and manner he speedily restored it back?
So perhaps Leke Abejide will be a saving grace for ADC.
Definitely.
When it comes to the courts,
they did not look at these provisions of Section 225A. At least you must win one seat, either presidential, governorship, and in state assemblies. These things are there in the constitution. Of course, Abejide won.
All right. So we have to leave. Chisom.
Absolutely, we have to go. We're just hoping that institutions start to act, all right? Hoping that this Nigeria that we all desire would put our hands together to build it.
So on that very note, we thank every one of you. And this weekend, Fondio Wambe, we wish you well. People who are on holiday, we wish you well. From all of us here, thank you for listening. Good morning.
Good morning.